this Hump Day Wednesday in New York City. I just want to get something out of the way right away. I have a terrible feeling about the Met game. So when the Met game is over in about 2 hours or so, Tiki and I will give you an instant reaction. But I just want to let you know right off the top, as they're playing an afternoon game in Minnesota, I have a sick feeling.
Oh, is this an in-evident Tiki Rico Bronya?
Yeah. Well, briefly. It's just 20 seconds of me being honest. I just don't feel good about the Met game. We'll get to them later. We'll get to the Yankees later. They will try to continue to own their little sons, known as the Kansas City Royals. And Travis Hunter made some fascinating comments the other day. But let's put Joe Schoen on the psychologist's chair. And we, Tiki, you and I, and the audience, and Sean and Tommy, can be those that interpret what he said.
Okay.
Okay? Now
I do that pretty well sometimes.
You're very good at it. Now, I think I'm pretty good at it, too, and we may have differing opinions. So, Joe Schoen met the media earlier today. You've heard a lot of the clips right here on WFAN. Great job by BT and Sal and Hall for cutting that up. But there are two clips I want to play off the top. And tell me what you read off of it, all right? Number one, hey, Joe, do you have an urgency to draft a quarterback in next week's draft?
With the signing of those two players, I think we put ourselves in a position where, I don't think that's mandatory or something that we're, our feet to the fire and we have to do. I think the two guys we signed have played a lot of ball. They've got a lot of skins on the wall, and I do think we've upgraded that room, compared to where it was a year ago. I like the two guys that we have, and, Tommy's still in there, and he's won games for us too, and he's still developing. So we're happy with the makeup of the room right now.
Tommy DeVito gets a shout out.
Tommy getting love.
Loogie, you happy over there?
Music to my ears.
I knew that. That's interesting because yesterday when I was talking about what I thought the Giants were trying to do with their workout, Shedeur Sanders, they had Jackson Dart in, Jalen Milroe's going to come in. It almost feels like they're telling everybody, at least is what I thought yesterday, we're going to draft a quarterback. If you want one of these guys, you have to come get us. Come to us to get that draft pick. Now he's saying the exact opposite. And now I'm feeling the exact opposite. Yeah, we don't need a quarterback. But it also could be the same thing, getting to the same point, saying something different. Meaning, we don't really need a quarterback. So we don't want to waste our pick. So if you want one, come to number 3. Right? We don't need to be here to draft what we need. So if you have a real need, come trade with us at number 3. I think anytime a general manager or an executive or an owner speaks ahead of the draft, there's always some PR ulterior motive. And so Joe Schoen saying the things that he's saying, it's trying to figure out what's he actually saying.
So what is he actually saying, Teak?
I think he's actually saying the truth, which is we're good enough to win right now, so we don't have to draft a quarterback.
We have Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Tommy DeVito.
So we don't need a quarterback in order to function. We'll function.
Right.
It's just, what do we want to do going forward? That you won't know.
Sidestep on that initial clip we played. He basically thinks Daniel Jones sucked. I also took that out of it. Yeah,
that's true.
Our quarterback room is so much better than Daniel Jones and Drew Lock. Now, here's the second clip.
I think he subtle shaded him without even realizing he was throwing some shrapnel his way.
Absolutely. I don't think he meant to do it, but I think sometimes honesty brings out the
That's
truth.
what I heard that too.
Yes. The second clip is, hey, Joe, don't you want a young franchise quarterback, though?
Where we are, yeah. I mean, you would like to have a young franchise quarterback. I think every general manager would be. Everybody wants that. But the value has to be right, or it's not. It doesn't matter. I mean, you get that one wrong, you just got to get that right. Position, get the right one at the right time. That's when you pull the trigger.
Interesting.
Just do me a favor, Tommy. Can you, at some point, isolate just the moment where Joe says, you got to get that right. If you don't get it right, pause. Because I know what he's thinking in his head. I got to move back to Buffalo.
Right, I'm fired if I don't get this right.
Yeah.
You saw what happened down the road at the Jets camp. Joe Douglas, he got it wrong. It only took a couple years, but he was out.
And that's the perfect example because Joe Douglas had some really, really good drafts.
No
if
doubt.
you get it wrong at quarterback, you're screwed.
It's interesting what he just said there, though, because it almost makes it sound like usually if you're a general manager and there's a draft class that has some potential stars in it, you're just going to laud them. They're fantastic. I love these guys at the top of the draft. I'd love to get a chance. We'll see what happens at 3, but they're great and yada. It almost sounded like he was saying, we've done a lot of work on these guys, and I don't want to mess up my career by drafting one of them and them missing. Because if you're excited about having the opportunity to pick one of those guys, it's almost like there's some doubts in his mind about these quarterbacks, and he doesn't want to lose his job because those doubts might actually be real.
So I'm going to tell you right now, and you all may think I'm crazy. That's okay. I listen to everything he said. I am emboldened on April 16th the way I felt on January 16th and the way I felt on February 16th. The New York Giants are taking Shedeur Sanders at number 3 in the NFL.
Shedeur Sanders.
I really believe that. And I think what Joe Schoen is doing, or at least trying to do, is he's trying to play the game. He's trying to play the game. He's trying to play the game of misdirection. He's trying to play the game of, well, we don't really need to draft a quarterback. He's trying to play the typical draft game, and I see right through it. Because here's the truth about Joe Schoen, and he knows it, and I know it, and everybody in the audience knows it. Let's use a baseball analogy as we have begun this baseball season. Is he going to take 5 pitches in a row and hope that 4 of them are balls? Or is he going to take a swing? And what I mean by that is he has not drafted a quarterback in his drafting career with the New York Giants. Not one. I'm not talking about the first round. I'm talking about period.
Yeah.
And Joe Schoen knows what I know and you know, which is if they don't win games and John Mara isn't, quote, in a better mood next year, his ass is fired. And I'm telling you right now, when you step up to the batter's box and your career's on the line, are you taking 6 pitches in a row, bro? Are you saying, I just hope the pitcher doesn't throw a strike? I'm standing up right now, and Tiki is tightening up the microphone. I just want to show you the analogy. I'm at the plate. The bat's in my hand. And I could just take a bunch in a row and hope I walk. By the way, you know who's an expert on that? Me. Because when I was playing high school baseball, I sucked.
You played high school baseball?
Yeah, they had no one. Everyone wanted to play lacrosse. They had no good athletes left. So I was a defensive DH. You know what I mean? Like, I played good first base, but they DH'd me out of games because I couldn't hit. But accidentally once, I had to get up. And you know what I did? And I regret it to this day. I didn't swing the bat because I was afraid. Because I knew odds are I'm going to swing and miss. So I took a bunch of pitches. I got 2 at-bats in high school.
You literally got 2 at-bats.
I did, 2 at-bats. Played great defense at first base. They called me Rico Bronya over there. But I got 2 at-bats.
So you were 9th inning defensive replacement.
Well, sometimes I would actually start, but they would DH me out. Like, I would literally just play defense and not hit because I don't want to brag. I actually was a good defensive first baseman. I know that sounds nuts. Couldn't hit. 1 at-bat, I got hit in the ass right away.
Oh, nice. On base.
On base. That's right. Thank you.
So at the very least, you're 500 on base percentage.
That's right. Thank you very much.
You would think somebody that scores games would know that's not an at-bat. But
well, 2 plate appearances. Right. You're right about that.
Right.
The second one, I didn't swing because I was afraid. So Joe Schoen may sound afraid. He's not afraid. Because he knows his career is on the line, and he knows the Giants' future is on the line. So I'm telling you right now, and I respect you, I respect everybody in the audience, I respect that you're listening to what Joe is saying, you're trying to interpret it. I'm telling you right now, he's not taking a pitch right down the middle. God bless you. He's
Thank
not. He's not looking at a curveball from Adam Wainwright hooking right over the middle of the plate. It's not happening. He's going to swing for the fences, and I firmly believe that everything he said today and everything he said in the past is an attempt at misdirection, but I won't be fooled. He's taking a quarterback at 3, and his name is Shedeur Sanders.
I could argue, let's keep this baseball analogy going.
Go ahead.
That this offseason, back about a month ago when he signed Jameis Winston and then followed it up and immediately signed Russell Wilson, he didn't take a cut, but he bunted to get a base hit.
You think that's a base hit, Teak?
He bunted. It's definitely a base hit. The question is did he push it down the line into unoccupied left field and turn it into a double? That's the question we don't know. All we know is he squared the bunt. He didn't swing. He didn't swing for the fence and try to get a star, Aaron Rodgers. He didn't try to go get someone who could potentially get them deep into the postseason and make a run. He got a hit. A bunt.
Well, I don't know if he got a hit yet.
I
buy the
I think
bunt.
that's what he's doing. He squared the bunt.
Okay,
By having Russell Wilson and having Jameis Winston, Jameis Winston, he's squared the bunt. Now, whether or not that turns into a hit, we'll see. It could be a double.
I actually really like that analogy. I love this baseball stuff, right?
It is baseball season.
Yeah, you're right. I love the fact that Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston's a bunt. I agree with that. But here's where I will disagree.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure if he got the bunt down yet. Because Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, or really mostly Russell Wilson, hasn't played a game yet. And here's the other thing about bunting. And it goes back to Soto the other day.
Right.
When you lay down a successful bunt, you're just asking the next guy to come through with a big hit. And that means whether it's the next general manager or it's Joe Schoen a year from now because he saved his job, you're just kicking the can down the road to the inevitable moment where you have to get that franchise quarterback.
Right, you have to take the swing. It is crazy how this analogy works no matter how long we keep extending it.
It really does.
It's crazy.
It really does. And look, we're going to find out in 8 days, and I can't wait because I do think we've gotten to the point of this NFL draft dialogue where we're sick and tired of waiting.
Oh, my God. We've been talking about the draft since November.
Well, that's the Giants. And that's
You've been talking since November. I've been talking since about September 30th.
And that's the Giants' fault. Like, when you suck and when you're bad, you then think about the draft for as long as we've been thinking about it. And I'm just using logic here. And logic tells me that as much as Joe Schoen tried to paint a picture of, we feel great about what we have, we don't need to do it, you don't want to miss out on a quarterback, as much as he tried to paint it that way, they're picking third in the NFL draft, and it feels likely that a guy who was projected as a top 2 pick a month ago is going to be sitting there for him. You're telling me he's not taking that guy? I call BS.
Unless he thinks he's not good enough. That's the only reason he wouldn't.
Okay. Perfect segue, Tiki. I'm with Evan. I think you have to swing, and I think all the scouting they've done in Colorado, how do you walk away after all that time and go, we're good? And for anybody who's anti-swing today, Evan's not anti-swing, okay? Evan wants to swing. But there are people out there that are anti-swing. You don't think next year, wherever the Giants are picking, whoever the top quarterback prospect is, you're not going to poke a million holes through? And if they pass again, you don't think the year after, even if it's a new GM.
Oh, it always will be.
It's always going to be that way. And you don't think 20 years ago, if we had a million more draft analysts like we do today than Mel Kiper Jr. and social media, we wouldn't have poked holes on some of the best quarterbacks? The truth is, there is no more clean prospects. And the last clean prospect we had was Trevor freaking Lawrence, who we could poke a lot of holes in his career.
Right, and the Jags did all they could to fail him.
Yeah, the only way to fail at quarterback or bigger than not taking the swing is by not taking the swing and having him succeed.
Can I give you another analogy that's not related to baseball? It's related to dating. I had a buddy of mine. I'm not going to name his name because he's married now, and I don't want to put him on blast. But this guy, every time we went out to the bar, and every time I would go through having a girlfriend and try to set him up with a friend, he would always find a reason why she's not good enough.
Loogie!
It was not topic.
Sounds familiar, though.
Always would find a reason. Sometimes it was physical. Sometimes it was personality driven. Sometimes it was job related. Dude, it was everything. And finally, I'm like, dude, you don't know until you go out with her. You really don't. You don't know. You're always looking to poke a hole.
Shoot your shot, if you know what I mean.
Shoot your shot. And by the way, maybe the things that are bothering you before you've ever gotten to know her, you're going to realize, I don't even mind that. I actually love that. That turns me on. And so I think that your analogy is exactly what's happened with Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. They've been here for a few years. They haven't drafted one damn quarterback. And maybe it's that analogy of poking holes in everything. And look, I think the other thing we need to do in the next week, and I've heard a few people do it, go on record on what you think Shedeur Sanders is. Don't pass on him because, well, I just like that. Do you think he's going to be any good? I gave you my opinion yesterday. I'll say it again. I think he's going to be a good quarterback in this league. I don't think he's going to be elite. I don't think he's Patrick Mahomes. I think he's solid. I think he's going to be a guy who could start for you for the next 10 years. I think he's accurate. I think he's smart. I think he's positioned well to succeed in this league. I'll tell you something else I like about him. I like the fact, and maybe this doesn't matter to you, it matters to me. I like the fact that he went to a garbage program and he helped elevate it. That matters too. Guess what?
Yeah. By the way, that does say something.
Doesn't it?
It absolutely does. You're Jackson State with the HBCU. which we hadn't heard of. All of a sudden, they're relevant. They did really well in their conference. And then he goes to Colorado, which had fallen onto, I don't know the last time I even thought about the Buffaloes, Colorado. And all of a sudden, they're relevant. Now, they weren't great. It's not like they were necessarily competing for playoff spots, but they became relevant, and he became good.
And why'd that happen? It happened mostly, not all, entirely, but mostly because of the quarterback. So I'll tell you right now.
And they did have the Heisman Trophy winner,
I get
Travis Hunter.
That's why I said it wasn't only
also
him.
available in this draft.
Absolutely, but you know as well as I do that a quarterback is going to impact the game a hell of a lot more than even a two-way player who plays wide receiver and cornerback. A quarterback makes that kind of impact.
No, you're right.
So I actually think Shedeur Sanders is going to be a good quarterback in this league, and I value that enough to draft that guy at number 3. And I think Joe Schoen agrees. No matter what he said today, no matter what other BS they put out there over the next week, he knows what I know and you know. You got to shoot your shot. You can't take 5 pitches in a row that you're hoping are just out of the strike zone. And he's not going to do it. We'll get to your calls next at 888-808-1019. Plus, this show kept a caller up all night last night. We'll explain why.